Max mounts are nowadays considered to be the hardest possible challenges you can attempt in all of Five Nights at Freddy's. On the pro level, these max mounts are only seen as mere stepping stones, being an easy challenge for all top players. But what would it feel like beating these max mounts if you had no experience whatsoever? How long would it take to beat every max mount? An hour? A day? A week? Well, to find out that exact answer, grab some popcorn and join me on my journey to find out how hard FNaF's hardest challenges really are. You're currently watching part 2 of the 3-part series. In the first part I went and beat the max mods of FNaF 1, 2 and 3, so I'd highly recommend you watch that video after this one if you're curious on how hard those max mods were. In today's episode I'll be tackling the next 3 FNaF games, those being FNaF 4, Sister Location and FNaF 6 Pizzeria Simulator. Then in the last part I'll be beating 2 more max mods in the final game, Ultimate Custom Night. So be sure to subscribe to not miss that video. It also helps me out quite a lot. With all of that out of the way, let's beat some more max modes, shall we? We're continuing this series chronologically, and as you saw in the intro card, it's time to beat 2020-2020, or in short, 420 mode. And I can't lie, I'm not that big a fan of FNaF 4. At its most basic, FNaF 4 is essentially your God favorite 6-minute listening simulator, boiling down to you checking the left or right door, waiting to hear the animatronics breathing, and then either shutting the door or flashing the hallway. You can also check and flash the closet or bed, but more on that in a bit. Oh, and this goes without saying, but FNaF 4 runs on the exact same movement opportunity system as every other Click Team FNaF game. The only thing you need to know is that every time an animatronic can move, they will move. Well, except for Freddy, but I'll get to that. Now, with the basics out of the way, I'll again go over how all 5 animatronics work, so we'll find out the best way to counteract each of them. Let me first go over the simplest characters, being Bonnie and Chica, as they work almost exactly the same. For your visual pleasure, I've created this map that shows every possible square an animatronic can enter. At the start of every night, both Bonnie and Chica will spawn right within this square, or in the middle of the top hallway. Now every 5 seconds they will both move to either side of the top hallway, which if you remember is guaranteed to never fail since they're on 20 AI. This will be much important later, but on every 5-second interval, 5, 15, 25 and so on, both Bonnie and Chica will always advance 1 square forward, except if they're already at your door, but I get to that. And that's not it, because on every 10-second interval, 10, 20, 30, you get the idea, they both have a 50% chance to either advance or move back 1 square. In this specific scenario, there's a difference between Bonnie and Chica. Chica, when choosing to move back 1 square, will go inside the kitchen, whereas Bonnie will just go back to the middle part of the top hallway. If they ever advance towards the main hallway, you will hear silent footsteps in either hallway, left for Bonnie and right for Chica. Whenever one of them is within either hallway, you can flash the respective side to make them retreat back to their spawning square. One important thing to take note of is that Bonnie cannot move back here, because he's already as far back as possible. Now if you don't flash Bonnie while he's in the hallway, he will eventually advance towards your left door, where he can, similar to before, not advance further even if he's on a 5-second interval, as he's already on his last stage. If you check the door while he's on his last stage, you'll be able to hear him breathing somewhat quietly.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
It is now advised that you close the door to make him retreat to the corner of his hallway. When not closing the door, Bonnie will eventually leave. As for Chica, besides her having only 1 more square than Bonnie, works pretty much the same. Meaning if she advances from the middle hallway into the corner square, she cannot move back to that same square anymore, unless she's been reset flashed on the right. But if you remember, she still has the opportunity to move back 1 square on 5-second intervals. This movement has her going inside the kitchen instead, now having essentially the same movement pattern as Bonnie. With those 2 covered, it's time to talk about Foxy, the only animatronic in this game with 2 separate phases, being the hallway and the closet phase respectively. In his first phase, Foxy has the same interval timer as Bonnie and Chica, being 5 seconds. At the start of the night, Foxy is in the same middle square as Bonnie, while in the middle hallway, Foxy has a 50% chance to go towards either corner square. He can now never move back towards the starting position himself, only if he's flashed in either hallway. To enter the left hallway, for example, Foxy has to be on the left hallway square. On this square, he's a 10% chance to enter the hallway and a 90% chance to run towards the other corner of the top hallway. Same goes for the other hallway as well. Him entering the hallway and moving to the opposite corner both have two separate distinct audio cues. Once in a hallway, he can be gotten rid of by flashing him, where he'll then go back towards his starting position and repeat his cycle. If he chooses to go to the hallway he isn't at, whether that's by accident or not, he'll enter the closet and begin phase 2. We don't want Foxy to enter the closet at all in the ideal run, but it can happen and it's not the end of the world, as here's how he works. Inside the closet, Foxy is given a progress meter that ranges from 0 to 10, showing how close he is to kill you, going up by 1 increment every second. Each progress amount is given its own visual cue. If he's at 0 to 1, it'll show a plushie, he'll stand at 2 to 3, crouch at 4 to 5, and finally fully peek out at 6 to 10. Once he reaches progress 10, he'll jumpscare you the next time you turn 2 or from the bed. There's a way to decrease this meter, however. That's closing the closet door. This makes the progress bar tick down by 1 increment every second. Now before moving on, I have to mention that whenever Foxy enters the closet for the first time, his progress bar will already be at 6, so I'd advise you to immediately close the closet door for a bit. As of now, you could in theory just not check anything, as all the animatronics can only kill you if you turn 2 or from the bed. But of course, y'all's god has thought of that. Freddy is by far the most straightforward animatronic out of the whole crew. On 420 mode, Freddy has an interval timer of 4 seconds and an AI cap of 6. Instead of moving like the others, he adds his AI level onto a secret progress bar that ranges from 0 to 80. That again shows his aggression level. If this bar goes over 10, 1 Freddle will appear on the bed, 2 Freddles at 20 and 3 at 30. If you check the bed while his progress bar is above 60, you will get jumpscared by him. And if it reaches 80, you will get jumpscared no matter where you currently are. To get rid of the Freddles, you'll have to flash your light at the bed, making his progress meter decrease by 20 every second. And that covers all 4 animatronics of 420 mode. So let's finally talk about the strategy, is what I would have said if there wasn't a 5th animatronic sprinkled in. At exactly 4 AM, all 4 animatronics I just talked about get disabled and replaced with Nightmare, who's essentially just a buffed up Nightmare Fredbear, and he works as follows. At 4 AM, he'll spawn in this center square of the top hallway. With no hard cap and 20 AI, he will always succeed his movements once his 2-second interval timer is passed. At his first stage, he has a 50% chance to go to either corner of the top hallway, which will be followed by his heavy footsteps going from left to right, or right to left. In either corner, Nightmare has another 50% chance to go to the opposite corner or silently enter the respective hallway. Once Nightmare chooses to enter a hallway, he'll give you 8 seconds to close the door he's at before he'll jumpscare you. So immediately go towards the door you've last heard him at. Once cleared, he'll continue his cycle as usual. But that's of course not all of it, as God cannot program a game without a little RNG. During this night, Nightmare can sometimes laugh. This indicates that he's either on your bed or in your closet. Sounds easy enough if he couldn't also do fake laughs, meaning a sound cue plays but he didn't teleport at all. Mix that with his footsteps not playing anymore and you're now fucked if you guess incorrectly. With all these simple animatronic explanations out of the way, it's time to create the ultimate cycle. You can bet your Freddy fastballs that I'm not playing this max mode normally, because why would I voluntarily torture myself? Not the Bones 5, dude. Anyways, it's strategy time. A big shout out to Brayden and the Bones 5 for coming up with this one. This cycle takes advantage of Bonnie and Chica's movement patterns, specifically them not being able to advance or move back on these specific squares. With this in mind, we can gather that whenever Bonnie gets to your door at a 5-second interval, he will even move back to the hallway at the next 10-second interval, as he cannot advance here. Now you only have to go to his hallway and flash him to make him leave. This simple cycle can be repeated for as many times as you want, so long as you stay on cycle and never flash or close the door on him on 5-second intervals. This same strategy can also be applied to Chica, as like I mentioned before, after leaving the middle hallway square, can never go back to that square herself, giving her the same movement pattern as Bonnie. Now this is where the cycle comes in. Starting in the night, you should flash the bed until the timer reaches 8 seconds. Then go towards the left door as Bonnie went through his first movement, either advancing again, where he can then be flashed, or moving back to his starting position. In simple terms, you have to make sure you arrive at the hallway after a 10-second interval, but still before the next 5-second interval. Now we can repeat the cycle as usual, flash the bed till the next 8-second interval, and now go to the right door and flash Chica risk-free. That's Chica and Bonnie dealt with. Now what should we do about Foxy?
Nice place.
Well, ideally we want to keep him out of the closet for the entire night. We do this by prioritizing Foxy at all costs. Whenever you hear him actually entering a hallway, ignore the cycle and clear him on whatever side he's on, even if he's going into the hallway you just cleared someone on. On 420 mode you can only check the same hallway twice, as when you check it a third time and go to the bed, you will get jump scared by the opposing door's animatronic. This is because Bonnie and Chica will only jump scare you when waiting at the door for 20 minus the night number amount of seconds, or for 420 mode, 12 cumulative seconds. Essentially, if you have to check the right door a third time to get rid of Foxy, either stall it out by not checking the bed at all and just clear him again. You can only stall it out once or twice, so if for whatever reason you have to check the same door a fifth time, keep stalling and risk a Freddy death, bite the bullet and restart, or check the other door and let Foxy enter the closet, which, like I said before, is not the end of the world but makes the cycle very strict. When Foxy enters the closet, don't check the bed but instantly go to the closet and keep it closed until you reach the next 8-second interval. Then you're free to continue the normal cycle, but always switching between the closet and the bed, turning out to be essentially a door check, bed check till 8 seconds, opposite door, Foxy till 8 seconds, left door, and so on. And that just about covers the first 4 minutes of the 420 cycle. As for Nightmare, he boils down to just playing against his mechanics perfectly. This doesn't mean I can't give you tips, however, as to stay within his 8-second kill timer, you should never flash the hallway he's currently in, and should rather just trust your ears and close the door at the side you've last heard him at, because every second matters. As for when to know when you should check the hallway, there isn't a real cycle for this, but when you can't hear him walking for no more than 2 seconds, you should close either door. Now for Nightmare's laughs and fake laughs. There's actually a way to tell both apart. This is because Nightmare can only do fake laughs on 10-second intervals, with a 10% chance to occur. This means whenever you hear a laugh that you know happened on a 10-second interval, because you're probably looking at the timer more than the game, don't bother with checking the bed or closet. But that's not all you need to know, as if a laugh is real and Nightmare is on your bed, his fake laugh timer will pause until you've cleared him. For example, if Nightmare does a real laugh and you clear him from the bed 6 seconds later, those 6 seconds will be added onto his fake laugh timer, meaning he now does a fake laugh on 6-second intervals. This will not account if Nightmare is inside the closet, only for the bed. Also, Nightmare actually decides to which position he goes after doing a real laugh, with 2 hidden meters that have a 50% chance to count up every second. As soon as one of these timers hits 20 seconds, Nightmare has another 50% chance every second to do a real laugh and go to that spot. A final thing to note is that Nightmare can do a real laugh even if he's on a 10-second interval. So if that ever happens, well, tough luck, I suppose. I think that's fake. It's not. Was it 9 seconds? Okay, I'm done. I don't know how this dumb dude works. Hell, this max mode. Nice. Nice. Oh, thank God, dude. Oh, this Max mode, bro, pisses me off. I'm not even happy that I beat this. This dude. And that does it for 420 mode. Instead of now switching games and talking about the next max mode, let me instead share my experience with the strategy as well as a little difficulty analysis to go along with it. So what can I say about this mode? Well, it definitely took me a couple of attempts to finally reach 4 AM and try to defend myself against Nightmare. Getting the first part of the cycle down, however, is very easy. Even dealing with Foxy is not hard at all once you get to 4 AM 6 or so times. Thought I was gonna say 7, right? Anyways, a little tip to prevent Foxy from entering is that you can sometimes wait to go towards a door until you hear Foxy moving while prioritizing Foxy's side. I remember clicking on one door, then hearing Foxy instantly entering the opposite hallway, making him enter the bedroom. You can still keep the cycle going when doing that, as long as you clear the animatronic before a 5-second interval hits to not fuck up the cycle. As for Nightmare, it's been so long since I've played this game, so it felt like going against him for the very first time, and he did cause me a bit of trouble. Closet. Wasn't that 10 seconds? It was probably 11, wasn't it, dude? Oh, this guy. With that said, I don't know if this is a glitch, but Nightmare managed to kill me 0.19 seconds away from 6 AM. No! What? What? No! 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 Oh, that was like 0.5 seconds or something like that. Dude! Like, dude, I'm not the Bones 5. What is this dumbass game?
No!
I mean, look at them side by side. This cannot be on purpose. No! What? What? No! No! Whatever that glitch is, with 23 attempts and about 1.5 hours spent on the max mode, a 1 out of 10 on learning, like the only hard thing to learn was dealing with Nightmare for 2 minutes. I'd also give it around a 2 out of 10 on the cycle difficulty, as all you have to do is look at the timer for 4 minutes, then get used to Nightmare's strict timings. Pretty chill if you ask me. And finally, because there's a little RNG in this one, 1 out of 10 on RNG, those being Nightmare and Foxy. That's about it though. So FNaF 4's 20 mode is definitely not hard. I'd put it just below FNaF 3 and above FNaF 1 for now. Matter of fact, I'll give you all the updated ratings on the previous 3 games at the end of this video. Also, I didn't play them for this video, but if you want me to play the other little challenge max modes FNaF 4 has to offer, be sure to like and comment, and if enough people ask for it, I'd be down to beat those challenges as well. For now though, FNaF 4 stays where it is. Maybe that'll change with the next mod coming now? So FNaF 2 doesn't have the second hardest max mode. It's this one alright. In FNaF's Installations Custom Night, we're back with a familiar office and familiar mechanics. Those being the doors and cameras, which will both drain our sweet power. In addition to that, we can also shock certain cameras when needed. Lastly, I'm glad to mention that this night, just like in FNaF 4, lasts 6 minutes. And those are just about all the basic office mechanics you need to know. The more intricate stuff will be mentioned when necessary. Now I won't just jump into 1020 mode and explain everything at once. I'll instead structure it similarly to what I did with FNaF 2 in my last video. That being going over all the challenges this game offers first, then tackling the beast. So let's get started. Within this first challenge, we only have to fight off 3 animatronics. First off, Ballora. She has a varying interval level, being every 10 seconds minus her AI level divided by 5. In every challenge we're doing, this would be 10 minus 4, so every 6 seconds. In addition to that, at 4 AM and 5 AM, her interval timer will go down 1 second, coming down to every 5 seconds at 4 AM and every 4 seconds at 5 AM. Now whenever she's active, she goes through 4 different audio stages on either your left or right hallway. Those consist of silent, distant, moderate and loud. She can only kill you when on this last loud stage though. This is what it would sound like in game. One thing to note is that Ballora can only kill you on 5-second intervals, so if you're playing with a timer, you can briefly close the door whenever she goes over that interval. Moving on to Mini Arena 1. They appear every 30 seconds minus their AI number, translating to every 10 seconds on max AI. When their interval timer has been reached, they appear on cam 6 and will start to decrease your oxygen by 1 every 0.5 seconds. Every 10 seconds, if not gotten rid of, they'll drain your oxygen faster, being 1 every 0.25 seconds, then 1 every 0.10 seconds, and so on. To get rid of them, you have to shock cam 6 with either a mouse click or with the E hotkey, which if you're not going for a mouse only run will be the better option. Mini Arena 2 has an AI in 30 chance for a Mini Arena to spawn in your face to block your vision, going up to 5 Mini Arenas in total. They don't do a whole lot, I'ma be honest, just laughing from time to time and being a bit annoying because you literally can't see shit. Also, they cannot disappear once one spawns. So that about covers all 3 animatronics for this night. Obviously, it's not hard at all, as it essentially just teaches you how these 3 animatronics work and overall is there to get you familiar with the office layout. Speaking of the office, you should start getting used to using the hotkeys this game offers, being S for cams, A and D for the doors, and W for the vent. While we're here, I'll be also mentioning that I won't be using any sort of gamma strats, neither for the challenges or the max mode itself. Gamma strats, if you didn't know, are when you brighten up your screen by turning on your monitor's gamma, be it with an outside plugin or with your monitor settings themselves. These strats take advantage of playing with 0% oxygen, which I forgot to mention is completely harmless. It just makes your screen very dark. I even did a 0% oxygen no gamma strat run for this challenge just as a little showcase. With so little going on, staying on 0% oxygen won't harm you. At least for the challenges.
No! How close was that? Oh.
Little note for this and the other upcoming challenges I'll talk about these animatronics as if they were on 20 AI, because I can't be asked re-explaining all of them for 1020 mode. Anyways, let's talk about Funtime Freddy. The streak of weird intervals continues as Funtime Freddy has a set counter at 30, going down by 1 every second. Once that timer is equal to his AI value, being 20, he'll switch from cam 3 to 4 or 4 to 3, depending on where he currently is. This means at his max AI, he'll move every 10 seconds. Along with him switching sides, he'll make a sound cue similar to what Foxy did in FNaF 4. Panning to either side he's running to. On top of that, he'll also run this attack code, which looks pretty complicated, but it really isn't. Essentially every 3 seconds the game picks a random number between 0 to 39, and if that number is less or equal to Funtime Freddy's AI, or 20 in our case, and Freddy hasn't moved in the last 4.6 seconds, he'll shoot Bonbon over to your office. Bonbon has a 1 in 3 chance of going to the opposite door to Funtime Freddy's side, and a 2 in 3 chance of going to the same door as Funtime Freddy's side. Both of these have their own audio cues that will not change.
Bonbon, go get him! Get ready for a surprise!
As soon as either of these sound cues end and you don't have the corresponding door closed, Bonbon will kill you. So in theory you can just wait until the sound cue ends to close the door for a little power save. Any other sounds Funtime Freddy makes are completely irrelevant and should be ignored. Yendo, the first part of the Wombo combo, has an AI -1 in 25 chance of appearing every time you drop your camera, so a rough 75% chance in 1020 mode. When in your office, he will drain 1% of oxygen every 0.02 seconds. So pretty fast. Can only kill you if he has been in the office for approximately 1 second and can be gotten rid of by flipping up the cams. And before anyone mentions it, no, he cannot kill you when the oxygen is at 0. Don't comment that. Also a good thing to note is that he cannot spawn twice in a row, so unless you're a serial cam flipper like myself, you're good. Funtime Foxy has a set counter that starts with a random number between 40 and 50, then counts down by 1 every 0.25 seconds or 4 every second. If this counter reaches or goes below Foxy's AI level, Foxy will progress 1 stage and the counter will be reset, now instead starting with a random number between 30 and 40 with the same number countdown as before. If you check on Foxy after he progresses 1 stage, the counter will be reset, now again starting with a random number between 40 and 50. To prevent him from progressing, you have to check his camera, cam 7, unlike what you did with Foxy in FNaF 1. Ideally, you want to check him at least once every 4 to 5 seconds to entirely stop him from moving. Within this custom night, Foxy has 5 total stages he needs to progress through before he can jumpscare you. Whenever he leaves the camera entirely, he'll jumpscare you after 5 seconds have passed. To stop him, you'll need to have the right door shut, as he'll only come from that side. The moment you hear him knocking on the door, he will steal 1% power and reset back to stage 1. Again, to save a little bit of power, open the door the moment you hear Funtime Foxy knocking, as he already left and cannot jumpscare you anymore. Last but certainly not least, we have Bonbon's counterpart, Bonnet, the second member of the Wombo combo, and a bit of a bitch. Bonnet has a 66% chance of appearing after you drop the cameras. She'll move from the right to the left side of your screen and will jumpscare you if you don't click her nose before she leaves the left side of your screen. You need to put your godlike aiming skills to the test, as you'll need to click the hitbox on her nose. See, this is where I would show another cool Valorant aiming clip, but I stopped playing that game. Sorry, where was I? Right, Bonnet. She's the only reason you want to keep the oxygen high.
No! No! Again! Again! I thought I had it. Shut. Fuck you, Microsoft Teams. Let me exit this stupid ass game.
1020 deaths aside, Freddy & Co is so easy you'd be a fool, even a loser, if you didn't beat it on your first try. Bottom shelf adds the last 3 characters I need to talk about, so let's get to it. Bidybab spawns in the vent in front of you and has an AI in 50 chance to advance every 3 seconds, so just about a 40% chance every 3 seconds at max AI. To tag you, she needs to go through 3 different stages. The only one we're worried about though is the third one, where we'll hear banging in the vents. At this point you should close the vent to make her leave, because at stage 4 she'll jumpscare you if you flip up the cams, and at stage 5 she'll jumpscare you no matter what. Ideally you want to close the vent door approximately 1 to 2 seconds after you hear her banging in the vents. Her AI will increase by 5 at 4 AM and another 5 at 5 AM. This is added even if she's on max AI, so it'll translate to a 40% and a 50% to move respectively. Her leaving will be signalized with a bonk sound like most of the other animatronics. Electrobab has the same interval timer as Funtime Freddy, meaning there's a timer from 30 counting down by 1 every second, and once it reaches Electrobab's AI level, they'll advance. Every 10 seconds Electrobab will spawn at the opposing closets to Funtime Freddy, being cam 3 when Funtime Freddy is in cam 4, and vice versa. Inside the closet, Electrobab will drain 1% of power every 5 seconds if not gotten rid of by giving him a controlled shock. Finally, we have the last animatronic and the last member of the Wombo combo. He has an AI in 50 chance to appear on the top monitor every 3 seconds. That is a 40% chance at max AI. Then with the help of this equation, Lolbit will take over monitor 2, then 3 after 1.5 seconds respectively. Then if not dealt with, he'll appear in your face with this please stand by screen. Once the screen appears, you are unable to flip your monitor and you cannot close the doors. You can get rid of him by typing LOL on your keyboard. It doesn't matter if you type it if he's on one monitor or has fully manifested in your face. If not dealt with manually, he'll disappear after 400 frames. That's approximately 6 to 7 seconds at 60 FPS.
What comes after 4?
5,
Yeah.
6, 6,
No. 6.
6!
In addition to that, Lolbit has a 5-second cooldown before spawning again after getting rid of him. And that covers all animatronics FNaF's sister location has to offer. As for this challenge, you know what, I'm going to save us all some time and just show you all my reactions of me beating the rest of the challenges, as I first tried every single one of them. Also, I'm going to play them all at once.
Stop.
Let's go!
Let's go. First try. There we go.
That was so clutch!
That was so unnecessary.
This was boring!
I managed.
I'm just that
To
good.
them, hopefully. Shouldn't have said whatever.
Every challenge up until Golden Freddy is there to teach you the animatronics basic functions. And with the knowledge we now have, it's time to beat the second 1020 mode FNaF has to offer. In comparison to FNaF 2's 1020 mode, where 8 of the 11 animatronics did the same thing, Sister Location has 10 animatronics that all have different mechanics, meaning it'll take a lot more concentration and quick decision making. Speaking of, it's time I should cover the rough cycle you should follow if you want to beat this mode. While looking like a lot, which it is, the max mode is really just doing the same cycle over and over again, consisting of the office phase, Foxy check, office phase again, shock phase, then finally office phase again. Let's start with the office phase. You begin the first phase with figuring out where Funtime Freddy has moved to. Try to place your cursor on the right or left side of the desk, depending on where Funtime Freddy is. This helps you remember his locations in situations where a lot of stuff is happening. I usually like to keep my cursor just on top of this soda can when Funtime Freddy's on the right, and slightly to the left of this golden Freddy plushie's nose, as both of these locations are pretty much exactly where Bonnet's hitbox is. After approximately 4 to a maximum of 5 seconds have passed, you want to open your cameras and do a Foxy check, which if you remember, you'll have to check cam 7. This check can be as fast as you want, as the cameras only need to be visible for 1 frame for it to count. While flipping the cams up and down, pay attention to the top right corner of your screen and try to see if Yendo has spawned. If he isn't there, you can move to the second office cycle. But if he is there, just quickly try to flip the cams up and down again to make him leave. Within the second office cycle, you get introduced to as much bullshit Sister Location has for you. To avoid getting overwhelmed, try to get rid of the Wombo combo trio first. That is first Yendo, if he appeared within the Foxy check, then you should click on Bonnet's nose without losing track of Funtime Freddy's position, and finally clear Lolbit if he also appeared. I'd advise you to clear him with your mouse hand so you don't lose control of your doors. I personally had the shit habit of using my keyboard hand, as that felt smoother for me. But in hindsight, yeah, don't do that. With the shit trio dealt with, you can now focus on everything else that's happening. Your main focus should rely on dealing with the audio threats. Again, remember to only react when Funtime Freddy does either of his door voice lines and Billy Bab's vent crawling noise. If you want, you can also time the door close to Ballora's 5-second interval whenever she's too loud, but most of the time there's too much going on. Another 4 to 5 seconds later, you'll need to enter the shock phase. If you don't have a timer, pay attention to the top left of your screen, especially whenever there's a warning sign on either your power or oxygen meter. Now you should open your cameras and click on the opposite closet Funtime Freddy is on. That's the one where Electrobab is attacking your power. Then shock him and shock the mini-arenas on cam 6 as well, as they're always attacking at the same time. Then click back on cam 7 and you're free to close the cams again. Actually, before closing the cams, try to see what stage Funtime Foxy is at. Ideally, he should always be on phase 1, but you never know. On top of that, check the top right of your screen for Yendo again, and then close your cams. In a perfect run, all of this happens in about 2 seconds maximum. Something like this. Of course, if Foxy's gone from cam 7, close the right door. If you can, close the right door while you're still on cams, so you don't forget. Now you're free to drop the cams and enter the office phase again, being first dealing with the Wombo combo, then take note of Funtime Freddy's location, and so on and so forth. And that about covers the rough 1020 cycle you need to follow. It's much easier actually playing than explaining, but you should still get the gist of it. And without further ado, it's time.
I fucking did it! I fucking did it! Yes! 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 Oh my fucking god! Yes!
So, I may have overreacted a tiny bit here, but that's not without a reason. So, let me tell you about my experience with this max mode, and I'll also try to give you tips to avoid the mistakes I did. Starting this max mode felt a lot like starting FNaF 2's 1020 mode. It's a lot. Knowing what the animatronics do and knowing how to get rid of them all at once were two different worlds. During my first couple attempts, I cannot even describe on how overwhelmed I felt juggling this many characters once. Including that, I can't tell you why, but I died a lot to Bonnet. Like, dude, there's no character with a simple mechanic as Bonnet, and she's still somehow the worst one. If I were to put all these characters in a tier list based on difficulty, the wombo combo of Bonnet, Yendo and Lawbird would all be in S tier difficulty, while the rest of the characters remain in, what, B tier? I guess in hindsight, dealing with Bonnet is just memorizing the rough path her nose follows, along getting familiar with the speed at which she travels. So can I give tips for her? Not really. It's really practice, that's all. My second biggest issue was handling the wombo combo after a Funtime Foxy check. Not only did I always forget to check Funtime Foxy, but when I did, there was a 70% chance I would die. This carried on all the way to my final few attempts, where I was still scared to even check him because I always had an issue with them. A tip to avoid feeling overwhelmed after a Foxy check is to 1. Stay calm, obviously, but 2. Remember to follow the Yendo, Bonnet, then Lawbird rule. If you don't clear them in that order, you're as good as dead. Also, and this next one is really annoying for me personally, don't open and close the monitor as a habit after you check the cameras initially. Whenever Yendo doesn't spawn and you do this, he's that much more likely to spawn. Also, I didn't really have this issue too much, but whenever you lose track of Funtime Freddy, you can easily relocate him by checking the closets during the shock phase, since the game doesn't punish you when you shock Funtime Freddy. Closing both doors when he does an attack voice line also helps if you lose track of him. That aside, my final big issue was probably getting familiar or avoiding the low oxygen parts entirely. I can't say I was close to using gamma strats, but it was really annoying at times, especially with this death.
No! How close was that?
After around 2.5 hours and give or take 47 max mods attempts and around 1 more hour with the challenges, I finally clutched it out and, well, like I said in the intro, deserves its place on the second hardest max mode. Hell, the hardest max mode as of right now, without a doubt. Now, as for difficulty ratings, 0 on RNG. Pretty obvious, that one. As anyone who completed this knows, a good player can beat this max mod 100% of the time. There is no RNG in this. I'd say a good 6 out of 10 on learning, as there are 10 animatronics with 10 different mechanics, and finally around an 8 out of 10 on cycle difficulty. Might be overkill, but dude, I struggle getting this run down and I'm not even consistent at it yet. I would also be down for a 1020 pre-patch run for the extra max mods video, so wink wink, like the video. Anyways, Golden Freddy Very Hard was indeed very hard, but fun. Definitely the best max mode yet. But yeah, that's about it. Moving on to the final max mode for today.
It's only now that I understand the depth of the depravity of this creature, this monster that I unwillingly helped to create. As if what he had already done wasn't enough. He found a new way to desecrate, to humiliate, to destroy. As if the suffering wasn't enough.
How can I resist a promise such as this?
FNaF 6 Hardest Saturday isn't really a traditional max mode like everything we had up until now, but I didn't want to just play Saturday or skip this game altogether, so you're just gonna have to live with a somewhat self-imposed challenge. Or just tell me I copied the Bones 5, that'd be fine too. Whatever the case, this max mode is all about the office section of FNaF 6 Night 6, mainly playing the night with all 4 animatronics active, without using any of the 3 upgrades, and without using any of the 3 office tools. those being the audio lure, silent ventilation and the motion detector. In addition to that, we also need to accept all 5 sponsorship offers that make this night even harder. Aside from that, the offer sections are fairly straightforward, as you, instead of surviving to 6 AM, only need to complete, or should I say wait through, 3 different sets of tasks, after which we'll be able to end the night. So theoretically, a night could take as long as we want. In addition to surviving, I guess, the room temperature should never reach 120 degrees, as that would mean an instant game over. Aside from that, we fend off the animatronics via looking at them through either the left or right vent. Basic game mechanics aside, let's talk animatronics. Unlike all other FNaF games we talked about, this max mode is much more similar to FNaF 3's aggressive nightmare mode. This is because no matter what night or which animatronic, they always have a 1 in 3 chance to move. The night number just changes how fast their interval timer is to change that 33% chance. For Saturday, and therefore the harder Saturday, this would be every 2 seconds. This is very unlikely to happen, but if you're not moving for 45 seconds, these movement intervals go down to every second, going back up to 2 seconds once you move again. While not having a set path they follow, the specific square they move to is always at a set chance, with them being more likely to move towards you. At the start of the night, all of the 4 animatronics have the option to spawn in any of these top 5 squares. In addition to their interval timers, everyone but Lefty has the option to teleport to either the left or right square next to your office. After 10 seconds have passed in the night, once Molten Freddy has reached the top middle square, he will teleport to the left side of your office. And after 20 seconds have passed, both Scrap Trap and Scrap Baby will teleport to the right side of your office once they move onto the top middle square. Note that all of them can only teleport once. Since we're not able to use any of the office tools to defend ourselves, we need to resort to using our headphones to locate the animatronics and the flashlight to get rid of them. Whenever an animatronic enters or leaves the square next to you, they will play any of these 6 quiet vent noises. Then when entering or leaving the vent next to you, they will play any of these 6 loud vent sounds. Every 3 seconds an animatronic is in a vent, there's a 1 in 3 chance they'll make another loud vent sound. Any of these sounds will also pan to either your left or right ear, depending on where they currently are. Whenever looking straight into a vent and an animatronic makes a sound cue on the side you're facing, it'll play in both ears. The final sound cue the animatronics can play is after 1 minute into the night, if either Scrap Trap, Scrap Baby or Molten Freddy enter the room next to either of your vents.
Bittersweet, but fitting.
Note that they can only do this once on either side, and these voice lines will not pan, so you won't know which side they're on. In order to then kill you, the animatronics will need to hear you when in either of your vents. They do this with the help of the sound meter. The more sound you make, the higher the chance that an animatronic hears you is. By default, this sound meter is set at 10%, meaning if everything is turned off, an animatronic can only hear you 10% of the time, or has a 1 in 10 chance of entering the office to kill you. Also, if this wasn't obvious, once an animatronic enters the office, you will either instantly die or get jump scared on the next 5-second interval. While turning on the fan and terminal, they'll each add 20% to the sound meter and 40% each when fully turned on. When doing an advertising or order supply task, this meter goes up by another 20% respectively. Because we accepted every sponsorship, whenever one plays, the sound meter goes up by, yes, another 20%. Now, how do we actually stop an animatronic from killing us, besides making as little noise as possible? Well, if an animatronic hears you, but you're currently flashing your light at them, they'll move back to the respective corner square on the next 4-second interval. Since we're on Saturday, with bad enough RNG, the animatronic we just got rid of could come back into the vent after 4 seconds. So ideally we want to make no noise, as then the flashlight will be severely buffed. Not only will the flashlight be able to clear an animatronic from the vent you're looking at, but it'll also clear any animatronic in the adjacent room. On top of that, any cleared animatronic will be sent to the top corner part of the building. Finally, any animatronic that is not flashed will move back to the middle squares of the building when not hearing you. It won't really be a problem later on, but if you're curious, this is the rate the temperature will go up and down, depending on what is currently turned on or off. As a rule of thumb, you should never go above 110 degrees, anything below that is pretty fine. Now, the final mechanic I want to mention are going to be the ads. We already know when they appear, the noise meter goes up by 20%, but how do they appear? Well, each of the 5 ads we took have a 25% chance to appear every 20 seconds. This ad will only start playing when you look back at the terminal and will then never appear again, as the same ad cannot appear multiple times. Ads can also interrupt any task you currently have running, if one is queued while you're looking at the terminal. If you're lucky, multiple ads can get queued at once, where they will just overlap once you look at the monitor. Once an an ad plays, you're also forced to look at the terminal and cannot do anything until the ad is over. And that pretty much covers all you need to know. So let's get started. As soon as you start a night, immediately start an advertising task and look into either your left or right vent. You want to spend as little time looking at the terminal as possible. Now as soon as you hear the task finish with the help of this sound, immediately shut off your fan and terminal and turn to the side you've last heard an animatronic from. And keep your light on them for at least 4 seconds to force them to the furthest part of your building. And always prioritize any new sound cues that you hear. So if you heard something from the right vent while you're currently facing the left vent, either keep facing the left up until a maximum of 2 seconds, then switching to the right, or immediately turn to the right side for 4 seconds. Then back to the left and stay there for 4 seconds. This will make sure that any animatronic that has entered the vent is sent back to the corner of your building. Once you stop hearing sound cues for approximately 4 to a maximum of 8 seconds, turn on both the terminal and fan and start another task. To save a little time, click on the motion detector, then back on the task button to force the tasks to appear. As long as you don't use the motion detector, you're good. A couple things to note. Always turn the terminal and fan on and off at the same time. This is not only better for the sound meter, but also gives us the upgraded flashlight when clearing the animatronics from the vents. And finally, don't be scared to greet a little. If you're not doing a FNaF vlog or whatever, a little greet has never hurt anybody. No, but what I really mean is that whenever you're on a task and you hear a sound, turn to that side and only turn the terminal off once the task finishes. You should only turn everything during a task off if you hear a sound on both sides at the same time. Other than that, greet. That's it? That is not it, right? Surely that was not Saturday.
Congratulations.
What?
You've completed
so that was boring. I normally share my experience with this max mod, but I did it in 3 attempts and around 12 minutes. So there's not much I can say. Maybe I'm just goated, but let's just move to the difficulty rating. I'd give it around a 4 on RNG, as I didn't have too much of a problem with this max mod, but I know how bad it can be. I'll give it a 2 on cycle difficulty, as there really isn't much you can fuck up here. Just gotta have good ears and a little bit of patience, I suppose. And finally a 1 on learning. That goes hand in hand with the cycle difficulty. Very straightforward. Overall, I put it just below FNaF 4 and obviously above FNaF 1. Don't think I need to tell you why. As for a secret challenge for the secret max mod video, I'd probably just beat Gravity Vortex. People say that that's harder than the max mod itself, but we'll just have to find out ourselves. Aside from that, time for the outro. While I yap, I'ma put the adjusted difficulty ratings for the previous 3 max modes I did in the last video. If you didn't watch that, be sure to do that now. Overall, I spent 14 hours on these max modes so far. I'm kinda scared it'll take a minimum of 14 more hours to beat 50/20 and UCN's challenges. And I don't even want to mention the second secret challenge. Be sure to keep guessing on what the secret challenge is though. Also, if you liked my max mode completion reactions, maybe just stop by my Twitch channel at IceeG, where I'm beating 50/20 as we speak. I'll also stream around 3 times a week, so be sure to stop by and say hello. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, liking, subscribing and commenting helps me out more than you might think. I'm also obliged to say that I've updated the memberships as well as the community Discord server, so I hope I'll see you there. With all the jazz over and done with, you are in fact the GOAT for sticking around to the end, and as always, this has been your host, IceeG, signing off.